Thanks, guys. I appreciate everybody taking a few minutes to join us today on Media Day. Obviously, unprecedented times. So I really appreciate everybody jumping on the Zoom and excited to answer your questions and talk about our team. We're probably about 14, 15 days into official practice. We've been a little beat up. It was good. We got a couple guys back yesterday. Jalen Coleman-Lands got back in there yesterday, and that really brought a lot of energy and kind of raised our level. We should get Javen Johnson back this week and then Xavier Foster at the end of the week. But excited where we're at. Obviously, got a long way to go, and that's like everybody this time of year, a little beat up. Obviously, got to get a lot more stuff in, but excited to get going here in a couple weeks. But proud of their effort. Really proud of how everybody's handled all the things we've been dealing with since March. I think our guys and our staff, school, you look at the medical staff, just done an amazing job handling COVID and handling all the difficulties that presents itself. And so ready to get going and turn it over to you guys for questions.
All right, if you have a question for Coach Prohm, please use the raise hand button in your participants menu, and we'll get you unmuted and going here. And our first question for Coach Prohm will be from Randy Peterson of the Des Moines Register. Randy, unmute yourself and go ahead.
Good morning, Coach. Hang on. Okay, sorry. What do you need from Coleman-Lands in order to, what are you looking for him to contribute to the team?
Well, I think if you were at practice yesterday and you saw him when he's in practice and when he's not in practice, even when he's not in practice, he's got an engaging personality. Obviously, he's older. He's produced at a really good level for two high major programs, Illinois DePaul, two Power 6 programs. And so the biggest thing we need from him is from his energy every day. Leadership, energy, obviously shot making. I think he's a guy, if he takes great shots, takes good shots, that he can be a 40% three-point shooter. And there's a play yesterday in practice where he makes kind of a high shake, a fill-up at the top of the key, great footwork, but the way he cut, the way he played with great pace, he had great purpose. He just brings a different mindset to the practice. And even when he's out of practice, he's really engaged. And so we're going to need scoring from him. We're going to need shot making. But I think defensively, when you look at guys that can be shutdown guys and understand how we want to grow on the defensive end, he's one of the guys on the perimeter that can do that for us. And so we just got to get him fully healthy. And once he's fully healthy, I think he's got a chance to have a great year.
What's wrong with him, or what's been wrong with him?
He's just had a hamstring issue, and just because of the time of year, we've been real delicate with that and making sure that he's back 100% and fully comfortable to get back out there. Just because these guys have missed a lot of time, so we want to make sure we just treat him right and then get him back out there when he can. And so yesterday was his full first day that he got back out and in the half court, even got up and down some and thought he did some really good things. But he's an energy giver. I mean, everybody's read the book Energy Bus. He's on the energy bus. He's an energy giver, and really excited about him.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Our next question comes from Travis Hines at the Ames Tribune. Go ahead, Travis.
Hey, Steve. What are Jaden and Xavier dealing with injury-wise?
Coleman-Lands?
You said Javen had been out and...
Oh, Javen Johnson. Javen's been sick, and then Xavier got hit the other day in practice and was out just with some, with concussion and protocol and all that stuff. So, but hopefully those guys get back towards the tail end of this week. Javen's working his way back in. Xavier's working his way back in slowly, and so it's just kind of the nicks and bumps and bruises that you're going to have early in the season. And so we've had 7 or 8 guys out there at times of scholarship guys. And so we've by the end of the week, we should have a full complement of guys, and that obviously will lift up practice a lot.
You guys are probably going to have a lot of work to do in a normal year with how many new guys you have. But given everything, how this year is transpiring, how you've been trying to navigate everything and get everybody up to speed, I guess, with the challenges and with having so many new faces?
You're right, and I think that's why you just got to be patient. You got to understand what everybody's going through. You really missed a summer from a standpoint of actually getting in the trenches and guys understanding, what it takes and getting them in rhythm. this early part of the fall is almost like the summer, to where it's class, it's weights, it's team workouts. The one thing that we've got to do now as we going forward and we got getting our numbers back up is play a lot of 5-on-5. So we can put guys in situations where they can understand offensive, they can understand spacing and ball movement and how we want to play, and the ball can't stick, and how to react off penetration. And then defensively, getting live reps. You can drill everything. You can do things 1-on-0, 3-on-0, 5-on-0, but you got to get in there and guard it 2-on-2, 4-on-4, and then especially 5-on-5. And so, just continue to show them film. Continue to harp on the little things that it takes to win games at this level. And I think you've seen that. I think there's been a trend in the defensive end of the floor the last couple of years. Obviously, when you look at Baylor changed their philosophy defensively with the addition of Texas Tech. And I think we've got to make a step. We've got to get back. I mean, we've had a couple teams that have been very good defensively, and then we've had some that have been not so good defensively. We've got to get back to the where that we're locked in on the defensive end. We can switch ball screens 1 through 4. I think Solomon Young's a terrific ball screen defender, and, I think he brings a great presence. So we just got to be bought in on that end. The floor is just going to take a little bit of time, but I do like our young freshmen. I think they're doing a good job and coming along slowly.
Thanks, Steve. Our next question will be from Ben Visser of the Cedar Rapids Gazette. Go ahead, Ben.
Hey, Coach. Rasir Bolton obviously had a productive year last year. What areas does he need to grow in to take that next step for this year?
I think the biggest thing he's got to take is he's got to just jump into a leadership role, and that's you jump into a leadership role by being an everyday guy. I think the guys that have been the great leaders here and guys that have really impacted this program are everyday guys that do it right in the classroom, guys that do it right off the floor, guys that are in the gym constantly, guys that are watching film constantly, and then guys that are engaging. And he's been by my office a lot. He's been in the gym a lot more, trying to watch tape. The biggest challenge, if he's going to take the next step, is can he be dominant defensively? Can he be dominant defensively and take on the task of guarding? If you're playing if you're playing Baylor, can you say, hey, Coach, I want Jared Butler or Maceo Teague, or Devon Mitchell, one of those guys, and just using Baylor as an example, he's got to want that. He's got to be excited for that moment. That's got to drive him because he's got to challenge himself on the defensive end of the floor from that standpoint. And then you flip to the offensive side. If you're going to be an elite point guard, and we've been blessed to have several of them over the years, you got to put yourself in a position to be a 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio guy. And that comes from making great decisions. That comes from playing off 2 feet. And that comes from making sure you find the right guy. I think he's made strides. But now it's go time. And now we're full go, and he's got to take the next step.
You mentioned it there a little bit, but is your plan to have Rasir as the main point guard? And if so, who else can play point guard for you?
Right now we're playing a lot of guys there. He's played mostly there, but if we play small, he could play the fourth guard spot to where it's really not the 4, but for the way we play when we play small, that four-man spot is really, really key. Horton Tucker's played it. Deontay Burton's played it. Over the last couple years. Obviously, Niang played it when he was here. I only coached him 1 year, but from that standpoint. But I think we also have several other guys that we're throwing out there right now. I think Jaden Walker as a freshman. I'm just trying to make sure I do a great job with Jaden of putting him. I've had two freshman guards in the past, Tyrese Halliburton and Cameron Payne. And one was a lottery pick and one's going to be a potential lottery pick here in a couple weeks. You want to make sure, because of their skill set, you want to make sure you put them in a great position to have early success. Cameron Payne was going to play off the ball as a freshman because of a situation. We had to thrust him on the ball. Tyrese was able to play off the ball as a freshman and then dominant point guard his next year. And so Jaden is definitely capable of playing the point. I just want to make sure we put him in a great position to have early success because he's got a great skill set and size. But I think Javen Johnson can play some point, and then you can throw Tyler Harris there a little bit as well. And so we'll see. It's a work in progress, but obviously it's one of the main key spots of your team.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Our next question will be from Rob Gray of Cyclone Fanatic. Go ahead, Rob. Rob, go ahead. And it looks like we're having some audio issues with Rob. We'll try to get him later. So our next question will be from Matt Bellington of the Iowa State Daily. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Steve, just going back to Jalen for a second, you mentioned when we were talking about him at the start that he brings a different mindset to practice. And I know you talked a lot about his energy. I'm just curious if you can kind of expand on kind of what that different mindset is.
I think when you look at Jalen, it was funny. He's been sitting out of practice, and because he was injured, so I went by to check on him and make sure he's doing all right. And was just messing with him a little bit. And he said, "Yeah, Coach, I'm on my official visit right now." He goes, "I never took an official visit here, man. I get 2 days where I don't have to do anything, and y'all got to treat me really well and take me out to dinner and so forth." And so we were laughing about that. But, you got to think the uniqueness of a kid like Jalen. Comes here, didn't see the campus in person, recruited him through Zoom. But all the feedback that we got from watching tape, number one, and then number two, just doing your checks and balances, is that he's a great, great competitor. And I think you really have seen that. I think in the landscape we're in socially and what our kids have been dealing with since really for a long time, but it's really surfaced itself in May. I think he's been a great leader for our guys when we've had our discussions, when we've had our weekly meetings about social issues and different things like that. He's been at the head of it. He's been the one taking notes. He's been the one spearheading conversations, doing research. He's going to be really, really successful. He's going to have an opportunity to play basketball for a while after college, but he's going to be very successful. I've been really impressed with his leadership ability, with the intangibles. He's just, like I said, man, you got energy givers and energy takers. He's an energy giver. He plays with great purpose and great effort. And I think he can really, really make shots. Offensively, when he puts it down on the floor, I want to continue to, start watching tape with him now that he's back out there to make sure he slows him down at times and making good decisions when he's playing in pick and roll or when he's got a drive to the basket. But, man, I love his energy. I love his spirit, and I think he can be a really, really good defender for us.
When you mentioned those the social issues, and obviously Jalen educating himself on the voting process, I know obviously we're still waiting on official results from this election, but just how big was it for your guys to have that off day on Tuesday to exercise their right and be a part of the process to vote?
Well, I think it was great, and it was spearheaded by a lot of people. First, to get the day off. Number two, it was spearheaded by my assistant coaching staff, doing a great job to get those guys, registered, whether it was absentee, whether it was in person, whether it was getting them to the polls, to let them know that they can bring change, that they continue to raise awareness. Really proud of all my staff, support staff, and my players about how they've handled themselves and the differences that they've started to make.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Elgin Rucker of KCCI. Go ahead, Elgin.
What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Good to hear from you again. It's been a little minute. My question is, I'm kind of curious, just trying to pick your brain a little bit as a basketball guy. In terms of, you talked about earlier having guys coming in and trying to figure out the best places for them to go to really take advantage of their skill set, and of course you had to do it with a guy like Tyrese. Going into a season and knowing a guy like that has the potential to be a lottery pick, and you might not have him for too much longer once you've got him in that position, once you've gotten him there. At what point, I guess, do you start thinking about what the next steps for your team looks like with who you already have and also who you're planning on bringing in, and how much of the team's identity, how much does that change when you lose a guy like that, or does it change at all?
But Tyrese was special. I think he came in as a freshman and really just, it's like the one scout said that he was really impressed watching him one day at practice. he listened, he learned, and he let them older guys mentor him. He wasn't caught up in playing position A, B, or C. He just wanted to be out on the floor. And the way we play, after his freshman year, he was second in the country in assist-to-turnover ratio and almost led our team in assists, and he never played the point guard one possession. And so obviously had a great summer going to Greece, winning a gold medal, and then had a great first half of his season before getting injured. But he obviously brings a lot of fanfare, a lot of attention to your program, when you have a kid like that. But as you go forward, you just got to have the next guy be ready to step up. The thing I just try to let these younger guys know is that when you look at Halliburton, when you look at Horton Tucker, when you look at guys like Wigginton or guys that I've had in the past, young guys who've had a lot of success, Cameron Payne, Isaiah Cannon, those guys, and even other freshmen that I didn't coach as freshmen here, but Monte Morris, George Niang, that, man, if you're good enough and it's your time, doesn't matter if you have freshmen, a sophomore, junior, senior. Basketball works fast. And if Tyrese, he could have left after his freshman year. It probably wouldn't have been the best decision, but he definitely could have left. I think he made a great decision because he knew if he'd come back, he was going to have the opportunities that he did right now. Unfortunately, he got hurt and wasn't able to finish out the right way. But, when you want to put those guys in a great position to be successful, and so they have those opportunities. And I think we've done a good job with that. Now we've got to have the next group step up. When you're losing guys like that quick, obviously it's hard to get old. And that's one thing in our league. When you look at teams that have been very successful, they've been old, and we've got to continue to work our way to getting back older.
Thank you.
Our next question will be from Zane Douglas of the Iowa State Daily. Go ahead, Zane.
Yeah, hi Steve. Kind of looking at Xavier Foster, do you anticipate, assuming his head injury doesn't kind of roll over into the season, do you anticipate that he will be playing a lot of big minutes early, or do you think that'll be something that kind of builds as the season goes on?
It's with all these freshmen, man, they all have a chance. We got to get Xavier back out there and practicing consistently. I think he's shown glimpses of what he can do. He can protect the rim. He's got good skill set. He's got great size. He's just got to continue to get adjusted to this level, the physical play at this level, the everyday approach at this level from like I said, to class, to nutrition, to getting rest, to film, to extra shots, to then you have regular practice as well. That's just kind of what it's like at this level for the guys that have been really successful. And so I love his upside. I think when he figures it out, just like with all big kids that have great ability, man, it can happen quick and the light can flip on. But, man, he's got a great skill set, and I'm really excited about where he can go, as we go forward.
How quickly do you see him kind of adjusting to the college side of things?
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard to answer for any of these freshmen. From that standpoint, I mean, they didn't have a summer, so this is really their learning curve right now. From that standpoint, and so we got to be patient. We got to continue to spend time with them, and then we got to continue to let them grow. And they're all going to do it at their own pace, And that's the one thing that we got to make sure we do a good job stressing to these guys is, Horton Tucker left as a freshman, and Halliburton left as a sophomore, and you can go down the line right there, but everybody's path is different. Monte Morris played here 4 years. And he's the best backup point guard in the NBA right now. Probably could start on several teams. George Niang played here 4 years. Matt Thomas 4 years. Naz Long 5 years. Everybody has their own path. And so that's what and some guys, it may happen quick, and some guys, can you hang, persevere, okay, and then get through the tough moments, and you still may have everything you want at the end of the day. And so I think that's really big for our guys to understand that everybody's path's different. Just put in the work. Do your job every day, and good things will happen if you do it the right way.
Thank you.
Our next question will be from Randy Peterson again from the Des Moines Register. Go ahead, Randy.
Again. Steve, you when talking about Jaden, you mentioned him in the same sentence as Cam Payne and Tyrese. Can he be that good?
He's got versatility and skill, from a standpoint. And those guys had amazing freshman years, both of them. When I look at Jaden Walker, and I'm not trying to put any pressure on him at all. The one thing I always told all my teams, especially young guys, is like, hey, put the pressure on me. You take all the pressure off you, throw it in a trash can, throw it at me, let me take it. What I see in Jaden Walker, though, is I see 6'5", and I see a skill set that's got great versatility and can play different positions on the floor. Now, does he have a lot of work to do? No question. He's got to get bigger. He's got to get stronger. He's got to continue to learn how to play in pick and roll. He's got to continue to get time in the gym and develop his shot. But when I'm watching guys that we recruit from, especially from the perimeter position, I'm going to categorize them or look at the guys that I've had success with. Does he match up more like Cannon or Morris, or does he match up more like Payne or Halliburton? I would put him more in his style of play, more to Payne and Halliburton than Cannon and than Morris or Babb.
And one more thing. Oops, I'm sorry. One
I
more
was
thing about Coleman. You really piqued my curiosity about everything. To me, you make him sound like he's. I think of Naz, talking about the energy, how he raises up the people around him. Who would you say he reminds you of that Iowa State fans would know?
I would say Naz, and that's good because I was watching, and I don't know if this is good or bad that me and you were saying the same thing, because I thought that last night watching film, and now I'm nervous. But no, I'm just kidding. You've watched a long time, so you know. I'm just giving you a hard time. But I was watching him just to close out and his energy, and I was like, man, he could be a little bit like Naz Long for us. From a standpoint of he can really make shots. He's got great energy and a great spirit about him. He plays really hard. We just got to continue to work offensively, and he knows this, just on continue to grow in decision-making and plays off the bounce from that standpoint. But I think that would be the best comparison if I had to put him against somebody.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Yep. Thanks, Randy.
Our next question comes from Travis Hines of the Ames Tribune. Go ahead, Travis.
Steve, you mentioned earlier defensively really wanting or needing to be able to switch 1 through 4. Does that make the plan that you would like to play, not maybe like you did last year with the 2 bigs, but play a little smaller, whether it's those freshmen or Javen at the 4, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's our mindset right now. I just think when you look at the prototypical team, really, and just going back a year, was really the 18-19 team where everybody's 6'5", you're 1 through 4, you're interchangeable. You can spread people out. Anybody can handle the ball. You don't have to worry about having to put A here and B here because it doesn't fit. You can just let the guys go play. That team, going in February, that team was top 7 in the top 25 in the country, both offensively and defensively, and there was only 7 teams at that time. Obviously, we got a little funky for about 2.5 weeks there defensively, really probably on both ends of the floor. That took us back a little bit statistically on the defensive end, but that's what we would want to look like from that standpoint. Obviously 16, 17, Burton was at the 4. Burton even played at the 5, some that year from that standpoint. But I just think when you look at how to match up in our league and how to win games, the game it's about spacing and spreading people out, and these teams are getting so good defensively, you've got to have great spacing. And so, that's kind of our mindset right now.
You mentioned, Regier maybe playing that 4th guard spot like BB or like Talon. Obviously, those 2 guys had unique physical tools with their length and athleticism. Is Regier like that, or will he have to play that position differently if you do opt to try him there?
Yeah. Now, when I say that, I'm talking about the defensive end. It's more just from the offensive end of just whether it's initiating offense. Javen Johnson's probably your more prototypical guy right there to start. From that standpoint, because he's got really good ball skills as well. But what I'm just looking at is in that 4. When you're bringing it down and you're playing off a dribble pitches, or you're either guys pushing or slice cutting, who can really make plays and get downhill to start and put pressure on the defense from that standpoint. I think that's the one thing about this team right now. I'm throwing guys around a lot of different positions, trying to figure out which one fits best from that standpoint. But at the end of the day, it's going to come back down to we need to get back to where, man, we're really, really efficient offensively, assist-to-turnover ratio, offensive field goal percentage. And then, obviously, if you're good on the defensive end, that helps all that.
Offensively, where do you feel like your scoring is going to come from?
When you look at it, I was thinking about this the other day, and obviously Blake Hinson's been out, but he's a guy that was a double-figure guy. And then you got Coleman Lands, a double-figure guy. Tyler Harris was a double-figure guy. Bolton, I think I was an assistant a long time ago. I was part of a team. It was a really good team. We had 6 guys average 10 points. I think there was only like us and Syracuse were the only 2 teams in the country at that time had 6 guys, that many guys averaging double figures. And I think this team can kind of foreshadow like that to where, hey, Bolton can get double figures at times. Coleman Lands could, Harris could, Javen Johnson could, obviously Solomon Young. Night in, night out, it could be different guys. So I think it's you got a committee of guys, and I'm probably forgetting, a guy like Trey Jackson, George Condit. I'm saying names quick, so I don't want to forget anybody. But I don't foresee it maybe as, hey, 18, 15, 12. It could be a lot of 10, 9, 11. From that standpoint, my big thing is, hey, can we get ourselves around 75, and then can we really defend?
We have time for 2 more questions. Our next question will be from Michael Swain of 247 Sports and Cyclone Alert. Go ahead, Michael.
Hey, Coach. Quick question for you that's kind of outside of basketball. I saw Jalen Coleman Lands started his own organization. I'm just curious if he's ever talked to you about what he started there and just maybe what your opinion is of what he's had going with the Figure Print organization.
We've talked a little bit about a couple things that he's been doing. Like I told you earlier, man, he's been very, very active. I'm really proud of him for that, and he knows I'm here if he needs anything, obviously to support him. But, the more he is interactive, the more he's trying to bring change, the more he's using his platform, I think is awesome. And like I said, man, he's got success in the future. It's coming. He's once he finishes here and once he finishes basketball, he's going to do terrific things. And so, he's just, he's one of those guys you want to be around.
Thank you.
And our final question today for Coach Prohm will be from Elgin Rucker of KCCI. Go ahead, Elgin.
Hey, Coach, just wondering, offensively, what's the ceiling for George in this offense? Can he really fit into what you guys are trying to do? And as he works on his offense enough in this offseason to try to be able to contribute more than just the effort plays and the cleanup plays that we've been accustomed to seeing him, and obviously in the pick and roll as well. Is there another next step for him in this offense for you coming up this year?
Yeah, I mean, but that's he's got to commit to taking the next step, and you commit to taking the next step, like I said, just like all the other guys did before. You get in the gym, you put the time in, you do it right off the floor, nutrition, eating, film. And then you get in the gym and you work outside of as well what we do from that standpoint. I used the Seton Hall reference from last year. Somebody was watching it. He had 17 points, 6 rebounds, 6 blocks. I think George's first and foremost thought process is how do I change the game defensively? How do I be a great, great rim protector and not give anybody easy shots at the rim? But if he ran the rim every time, that's 4 or 6 points easy. Okay, if he goes to crashes a glass and gets 3 offensive rebounds a game, you're going to put 1 put back. So now we've already got him to 6 to 8 points from that standpoint. And then if I'm a big guy, what's better than playing in some system where you're 4 out, 1 in, okay, and you've got shooters around you and spacing, so you're 1-on-1 in the post, and so he's just got to continue to work on his, back-to-the-back game and his jump hook. But I think we've made a point of emphasis with our guys of really trying to get it inside to him and Solomon.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time today, Coach.
Yep. Thanks, guys.